Hello everyone, and welcome back to this Voiceflow tutorial. In this one we will first of all be uploading all the images that we have to a service, right? The name of the service is postimages.org, right? So you don't need to sign up to post images, which is what makes this service amazing, but I think it makes sense for us to sign up first. Right, so I will enter my email. Okay, now I've been able to successfully log in. Right, so can just save, right? Then we can choose images. So I have all my images already from here, so I can just pick all of them, then open them up. Okay, so while this is loading up, so the next thing we will do now is to take up these URLs and see how they're able to generate URLs from these. This service helps us generate URLs right from with our images, and we're able to host them wherever it is we want. So we'll take those URLs and then we'll test the Voiceflow links, right, instead of always uploading images, right? So this is useful when you're trying to make things more automated within your chatbot. Great, so now that we are done uploading the images, so these are all the URLs. I think what we're looking for now is a direct link, right? So not just thumbnails for forums, right? We're looking for direct links. So now these are all the links that we have for each and every one of those images. Great, so now that we're done with that, let's pick one of them. So pick the one for Bali, Indonesia, and come over here, and let's come here and replace this one, right? So instead of this, we can just come here and drop our link, Control V, and it should be able to help us load it again. So just click away, and yeah, voila, it loads it up once more, so we're sure that the links are working. Now the next thing to do is to come here to our Supabase database. So let me just click out of here. So Supabase, to open it up, right? Now I already have an account, but you can quickly set one up yourself. Just sign up and follow all the prompts till the very end, right? And then you can start a project, right? So let's do that. I already have a project started, but let's start a new one, right? So you create an organization. You can decide if you want it to be free or not, right? You can decide to pay cash, right? But Supabase is gracious enough for us to use their services for free, right? And the free tier. So we can just say maybe this is Voiceflow demo, right? And then the password, it's best for you to use the generate password, right? So just do that now. So you can copy this and store it somewhere. So that's your Supabase password. Okay, so the next thing to do is to create your new project. Now you can save this. Now these are the API keys. So this is a part of my API key, right? It's not showing everything, right? And this API key here is what we are going to use to connect to the Supabase database on Voiceflow, right? Remember how we've been connecting using app.sheet.best API key, and also Airtable's API key. Is basically the same thing in this tutorial, right? So so it's still setting up the project. So while it's setting it up, what we're going to, I'll just explain what we'll do next. What we'll do next is that we will basically create a new table, right, in our Voiceflow demo database, and that table is just going to contain holiday destinations, right, for people, right? So that's the simple chatbot we're going to be building, a chatbot that allows you to, basically browse a favorite holiday destination, right? So yeah, so the first thing we will do is to create our table. So we can just come over to the left hand side here and click on SQL editor. Now so you can just come here, new SQL snippet, or create table, right? So it gives you a boilerplate. We don't need this, right? So I'll just copy and paste the code we need, right? Okay, so the code we need is here. So in case you don't know too much about coding, this is SQL syntax. SQL is a simple language, right? It's something that is pretty intuitive. You can already see create table. The name of the table is called destinations. It has a primary key of ID. It has a name column. It has a description column, type, image URL, and price estimate column, right? So to create this table, we just need to click the run button here. Now, after doing that, the next thing would be for us to, so let's open up a new tab here, and let's insert some data into our table, right? So we can do that using this code. So Control V. Now, this link here is a sample link, so let me just remove this, right? And I think we have our links here. So let's come here, the one in Bali. So here's the Bali link, and we can just come back here and paste that in, right? So we have our entry for Bali complete. So now let's run this. Good. It says no rows returned. Let's just open up another tab, right? I'm not so sure opening so many tabs is the best practice, but anyways, just make everything look clean. So now to search up our table, we can just say, do a simple select all from destinations, right? And then we can run this query. So you can see it has returned our table. We have the ID, the name, the description, the type. It's a beach type of holiday, and then there's the image URL, and then it's the price estimate, right? Great. So with all this done now, the next step would be for us to be able to fill up this table with all the other destinations, right, that we've been able to gather, right? So the way we will do that is using Voiceflow. So we're going to send a post request just so that you can see how it is done, right? Because writing SQL queries, it's pretty easy. It's something that you can ask ChatGPT to help you generate it. However, writing to Supabase using an API step, right, which is what we've been doing on Voiceflow all this while, I feel will be much more useful, right? So to do that, we can come over to the API documentation. So you can just open this in a new tab. So straight away you can already start to see this. Although this is JavaScript, you can already start to see some information here on how to initialize your connection to the database. And if you notice here, it has already given you a link. So this is the link that links directly to your database, right? So if you scroll, come all the way down to this portion that says destinations. Now you can, so if you notice here, destinations is the name of your table, right? Tables and views, right? So you can see the ID column, the name column, description, type, image URL, price estimates, right? Exactly the same column names that we have here. Now, okay, so all this here is JavaScript, but we don't want JavaScript because we're not running any JavaScript code. But if you wanted to use JavaScript, you can just basically run the JavaScript step, right? But I prefer to use the API step, right? So I'll hit the bash key to the top right here, right? So it then tells us how to, maybe if you want to select the ID, you use this URL with the Supabase key and then your authorization header. Same thing with the name, and then you have the same for all the other columns. Then if you want to read all the rows, like return all the rows within your table, you use this link, and then you have your Supabase key and then your authorization. Right, so let's quickly test some of these things out. But before we test it out, we need to have that Supabase key because we don't have it yet, right? So let's come back here. So it said, what's it called? All projects have a RESTful endpoint that you can use with your project's API key to query and manage your database, which is exactly what I've explained so far. Then these can be obtained from the API settings, right? So we can open this in a new tab. So this is the same key that we saw at the beginning when we opened up Supabase, right? So go to API keys. Now this is the API key we need, right? So we can just copy this, and now we can, send requests to our table, right? So we'll do one request now and see how that goes. So if you want to, let's view all the information first, right? So let's view all the information. So we can copy this. Be wary not to copy the quotation marks as well. So let's drag our API step. So we want the get request. Paste this in. Then the header, one of the headers is called API key. So come here, create a new header. Let me just reload that. Okay, good. So now let's put in the header. That's API key. Then we have the value. That's the value we copied earlier, right? So let me just come back here and copy that again. Copy. Then come here. Paste this in. Add another. Right. If you come back here, it says we need two headers. The second one is the authorization header. That's the authorization header. Good. And then if you notice here, it says bearer, then the Supabase key. So that's what we're going to do. Say bearer, then Supabase key. So that's that about that. If we hit send now, we should get, the results from our table. So this is what is exactly within our table, and we have been able to extract the information from the table. Good. So now the next thing we will do is to, maybe test out a couple of these, right? In case you want to select your description, select your name, whatever it is you would like to select. And then we will then write some information to the Supabase table, right? So we'll populate it with all the information that we need, right? And we'll do that all in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.